heavy
believe that
O'Leary
crypto will be
final warning. I'm interested in what happens. You know, Kevin O'Leary talking on XRP.
look at something and say, I'm not going to buy that. I'm going to keep that money working for me. Not many people have that discipline.
So yeah, Kevin O'Leary has been very vocal not only about Bitcoin, but also about other coins. Even XRP, he even talked about what it was, H-bar or what it was. And this is the big thing. Bitcoin, yes, it is going to be the digital gold. It is going to overtake, in my opinion, gold. But then we have Genius Act, we have XRP clarity, XRP to move trillions. This is where XRP comes in and, you know, overtakes the payment infrastructure, which is worth trillions of dollars every single year.
Wealthy people have that discipline. You meet them later in life, you realize when they were young and had nothing, even the ones that were employees their whole lives that are now financially free, had the discipline to say no.
So at the current moment, the cryptocurrency market and also the S&P 500 is not doing too well. We have rising interest rates on federal loans, and we also have rising interest rates on 30-year mortgage loans. Inflation is also starting to tick up.
I also own crypto now, and I own alternative assets like gold and watches. My watch collection's actually done quite well, even though there's been a correction. There's volatility, but I have some watches that have, I bought for $200,000 that are worth over $1 million today.
Yeah, but the thing with buying with watches, do they give same thing as XRP actual utility? No, they're like a luxury piece. And what's the first thing that's going to drop in price in the bear market? Obviously, it's going to be sneakers. It's going to be watches. People will still always use transfers.
So, are you still bullish on crypto as an investment?
Yeah, I am actually, but people get crypto confused with its real potential. If you believe in Bitcoin, you think it's a digital gold, and you live through the volatility. I believe in both. I believe that crypto will be the 12th sector of the S&P in some period of time because it provides productivity to all 11 other sectors. So the way I own it is I own the exchanges. My exchange in one called WonderFi up in Canada just got acquired last week or 2 weeks ago by Robinhood. I'm happy because I think Vlad, who runs Robinhood's great. And now he's got 1 million plus accounts in Canada, a market that he'd never participated in. But the point is, this is never going away. It's going to stay forever. So how do you participate? You can buy some Bitcoin, just like you can buy gold, buy it in an ETF or actually own it yourself. You can buy the exchanges. You can use, you can buy.
That's the thing with ETFs. Like anyone can buy it anywhere. That's why XRP, I feel like, will have a very high price potential.
Circle stock now it's public. Circle makes USDC. You can buy USDC in an account and make 4.1% interest on it right now. So there's a lot of ways to participate. But yes, I'm here to stay. But I've grown up. I was around during the period where the crypto cowboys lived, and I survived that all. And I even testified in front of the Senate and the House and whatever else the testimonies were during the tumultuous period. Let's talk about digital payment systems, because what's about to pass first, we are days away from this happening, is the Genius Act, which is actually the Stablecoin Act. It was just passed by the Senate 48 hours ago. It's going back to the House. I actually worked on that bill 2 years ago.
So the Genius Act, this was huge news for XRP. They're finally getting the legal framework that they need to be a huge competitor in the banking industry. XRP is finally coming to a conclusion.
This Genius Act is the thing that's going to push us to $20. If this Genius Act doesn't pass, I don't see XRP pushing past, like $10. That's the issue. You have certain price points that, we need to succeed, like the lawsuit being over for XRP to reach $3, $5, and you kind of get my point. The Clarity Act is more important than anyone thinks. Even the ETFs, they're a super important thing.
With their lawsuit with the SEC, and the Genius Act is obviously going to pave the road for XRP to continue growing. In this article, we can see it states XRP set to move trillions. Banking CEO drops bombshell on Ripple's role in tokenizing finance. And it says, according to King XRP, the XRP ledger is on the brink of a groundbreaking transformation that could unlock a staggering $196 trillion of market through the emergence of RealFi and real-world finance powered by blockchain technology. So where is this $196 trillion going to come from? If you look at the total valuation of all the banks in the world, you'll notice that it's valued at $12 trillion. JP Morgan by itself has a market cap of $800 billion, and this is not including the assets that they have under management It's simply their valuation. They have so much more assets under their management. So if we were to consider the total valuation of all the banks, including the assets that they have under their management, we come to the number of $486 trillion.
Imagine if they even bought a small share of XRP, how much that would actually pump the price. Probably by a lot.
And XRP plans to solve a problem. The banking system has a...
Like JP Morgan didn't like Bank of America already work with XRP? Of course, not the whole XRP ledger, but each of the banks wants some part of it. Bank of America, which also has trillions in value, wants to have fast payment transfers, and the other one wants fast payment systems in Asia. So there's many things for crypto that are going to be exciting for XRP. All of these banks, this basically XRP with these partnerships is building its own reputation.
Clear problem. It is heavy in fees, and XRP only has fees that amount to a couple of pennies. Also, the banking system is very slow because they use a Swift platform, which can take 1 to 5 days for a wire transfer or a deposit to go through. XRP allows you to send a transfer immediately. It is instantaneous. So we have low fees, and we also have instantaneous transfers. So that's not something JP Morgan and Chase can do, or ICBC, or any of these banks.
In terms of Bitcoin allocation or crypto allocation, what is it now?
It's at about all in. We marked to market last month. It was 19.1%.
19.1%.
Yeah, I have to keep it under 20. It's a sector. So, but remember, in that is the cryptos itself, Bitcoin, the USDC, and the shares of the infrastructure companies like Circle and everything else. I've got, it was a very successful IPO, and I'm very happy with that portfolio. But if everybody that's listening to this does that, they will maintain and grow their wealth. But it's people bet. They make big bets. They think they're so damn right. They put half their net worth in one sector or one stock and they get wiped out. That's what happens.
So would your mother pick the stocks herself, or would she invest in an index fund? Or
she indexed.
She used it. So okay.
Even back then, they didn't have ETFs, but they had mutual funds that said they're the only stock in this mutual fund.
So yeah, ETFs are a way safer buy for a lot of people, even in the future. ETFs are the big thing that people want to get. And mostly XRP is not available in the USA right now, which means two things. It means the price is lower than it should be, but it also means that the price potential could be higher for XRP. Imagine if XRP was already $1,000, then it would be obviously awesome, but a lot of people couldn't be able to buy it at this point because they know they can only go down. But because XRP right now has the potential to go like $30, $40, $50, that's what gives people hope with all this good news we have incoming.
Fund it doesn't have any debt and it pays dividends, whatever. They were very rudimentary back then. They were just collections of stocks. I think she had like 28 names or something like that in the portfolio. But if you looked at them, they were really boring large cap names, but they were sectorally diverse. There wasn't 10 sectors back then. There wasn't 11, there was 10. So they didn't have real estate as a sector. So, but, I looked at it saying, wow, these are really boring.
Most people's primary investment asset is the house they buy. Is that
yes,
smart?
it is, but it's also the debt they own. It's a primary asset. How much debt does it have on it? It's only the equity value is the asset. So if you're buying a house that's too big and you've only put down 10% and it's 90% mortgage, what do you really own? You really own the 10% at whatever price it is. Sometimes housing goes flat for a while. It's okay, but it's not okay if it's too much house.
So at the current moment, as a first-time home buyer, it will be very difficult to not go into heavy debt. And that is because a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage will come at an interest rate of 6.72%.
That's why a lot of the younger generation is buying just XRP instead and hoping they can cash out into XRP. It totally makes sense at this point. They are not wanting to buy real estate, which has ongoing costs. Again, a lot of people are saying why, especially the older generation, say, why buy crypto? Why buy XRP? Why not just rent out an apartment? That's the issue. You don't know if you have good tenants, you have ongoing costs. Here is where XRP really wins, right? XRP will just develop the stuff for you. Again, yeah, the price might go much more down than the real estate, and obviously there's other risks, but a lot of the younger generation is willing to take that risk. It is crazy.
We have been on a rise since 2021. In 2020, it was only about 2.7%. Now, if you plan on purchasing a home, you would have to pay almost a 7% interest rate on the loan that the bank gives you.
It's not even the interest rate, it's just that real estate has gotten very expensive at this point.
Only that, but loans coming from the Fed are now at an all-time high. We can see that in June, the federal interest rate was around 0.1%, was very low. And then in May of last year, we reached a high of 5.33%.
This is where Jerome Powell's interest rates would cut, and a lot of people would start buying homes, spending money, which would mean that 2026 is going to be worse for crypto. So understand me, if interest rates go lower, it means more job available, means more people spend more money, which means they might not invest so much into crypto next year, but means this year pumps more.
And now it is August and we're still at 4.33%. This is very high. But here's the thing. Typically interest rates are raised when there's high inflation. Right now there is not that high inflation. At the current moment, we're sitting at an inflation rate of 2.7%. So it is kind of on an incline, but it is not that high. So we all remember back in 2021, we did have very high inflation rates. And as a result, the interest rates were increased. So essentially what the Fed does is raise interest rates to combat inflation. So you guys might be wondering, what is going to happen to XRP and the cryptocurrency market? I think we're still in the green. This is just a temporary bump. If we look at this chart over here, we can see that Bitcoin is expected to reach around $160,000 by late November. So that's about 4 months away. That's when we'll get the high.
The issue is this is not guaranteed. We don't actually know what the final price for XRP could be. Could be more than that. Could be less. It's just what expected is. You know, it's just a prediction. They're even calling 2029 $280,000. A lot can happen in 4 years.
Bitcoin. And Bitcoin does have a tendency to influence the rest of the market. When it goes up, a lot of other altcoins do go up simply because it is getting traction from investors and more people are bullish on the cryptocurrency market. So I think XRP is going to reach $10 and potentially well beyond that by early next year. And the reason as to why I say early next year and not November is because XRP is an altcoin. And the altcoin season usually starts after Bitcoin reaches the top and then begins to go down. And when Bitcoin begins to go down, people are essentially taking their money.
I mean, the markets here are so much different than 2021, so I cannot compare them. Like, did anyone expect XRP to pump like for 2 years, 1 year straight? Nobody did. Like almost 1 year, it was only going up, while Bitcoin was going up and all other altcoins went down. This is not what the other markets were following. So you guys should know that it's very, very different right now than before.